Hello, Globebusters. Yes, of course they're serious. You do? You have? No kidding. Uh-huh. Oh, they'll cure your globitis this week. Thank you. We got one!
Ladies and gentlemen, it's the Globebusters.
What are you supposed to be, some kind of a cosmonaut?
No, we're exterminators.
And now, here's your host.
And welcome everybody to Globebusters, more mainstream news lies. I'm your host, Bob Xanadude60, and we are back with another great show for you today, even though we are going to do the majority of the show today was probably going to be done on Rockfin, primarily because we have a bunch of really amazing stuff to share that we can probably only get away with on Rockfin. But one thing I did want to start out with on YouTube is looking at the recent CNN hit piece on Flat Earth, which is just not a happy thing. It was kind of, it frankly just pissed me off. I'm sure it did anybody that watched it. But so we're going to take a look at that and, you know, see what they have to say. But it's just, it's utterly amazing to see how they respond to us. Now, it's going to be interesting to see if they try and hit us with any type of copyright strike. Jeran said he talked about it the other day on his, and they didn't do anything to him, but, you know, they're so cowardice. I would love to see them actually address it. Of course, their way of addressing it, you know, in my mind is probably just to try and strike us, but maybe they won't. Who knows? Because we know one thing, they're never going to ever, you know, address our rebuttal of what we're about to say about it today, because, you know, 99.99999% of it is utter bullshit. And we know that, and they know that too. You know, there's just no way that these people cannot be, you know, instructed basically to do things like that. I mean, and it's CNN, right? You can't trust anything CNN says in the first place because they're terrible. They lie about even the mainstream news, and they're certainly going to lie about anything that matters. So, you know, that's just the way that it is. So we have lots of things to get to today, guys. So let me go ahead and introduce the panel. First up, as always, is Jeran from Jeranism. How you doing today, Jeran?
I am great. Thank you very much. Happy to be here. Excited for the show.
Excellent. Sounds good. All right. Next up, we have Mr. Iru Landucci, who was apparently, where were you at last week, Iru?
Yeah. The last week, what happened last week? No, I was outside my city, joining friends doing camping.
Oh, camping. God, I know. Oh, yeah. That's awesome. But yeah, your camping season's
yeah, it was a long time. Yeah, it was a long time from last time that I did that. And when I went to Europe, I lost my holidays. So when I came here, it's still summer, so you know the weather. It's nice to be outside. Like today, even we have like 32 degrees Celsius, of course. So you know, really sunny day, and waiting for the show.
Awesome, that sounds good. Yeah, your camping season is just about ready to wind up, and ours is about getting ready to start. And you know, I got to tell you, when we actually drove down here and drove through the mountains of like Tennessee and Georgia and the Carolinas, oh my God, are these mountains beautiful. I thought Colorado had gorgeous mountains, but I got to tell you, Colorado has got nothing on these mountains down here. It's absolutely gorgeous down here. So I'm really psyched to actually go camping.
Yeah, I think I see a few of those landscape in the car or through the Jeran's trip from the last Flutter conference when he took us to Hollywood, and we can see at least, you know, in that long trip from the Windows car, a nice landscape. And no, it's a beautiful country, and here we have that type of landscape in the south of Argentina. It's very pretty much like you know, the Alps in Europe, things like that. We have a very huge country, not like you guys, but it's a very, you know, variety of landscape weathers. So we have mountain, we have valleys, we have ocean, you know, all kind of stuff. But very shortly, you know, when you right now, I hear changing topic, of course, but I don't know how you got it, but the topic of the nuclear war between Russia and United States. But here, you turn on the television, it's no more COVID. It's all we are at the age of nuclear war. This is that is the titles in all media in Argentina. Crazy.
I know and it's pure propaganda. I mean, frankly, with all the research that I've done, I don't believe for one second that nukes even actually exist. I think that, I mean, when you look at what happened over in Hiroshima and Nagasaki, they were clearly firebombed. Clearly, there's no doubt about it. Even the footage outside, the famous footage, you know, that's showing the mushroom cloud outside of the Enola Gay. Well, it just so happens that there is no observation window over the wing on the Enola Gay. If you take a look at other shots of it, and it's like not there. I was like, well, that's interesting. How did they pull that off? You know? So again, it was just another propaganda piece, and you know,
propaganda.
Yeah, it's all about just trying to scare the hell out of people. So
Wait, you're telling me that the train was just naturally running a couple of days later, vegetation and animals still flourished there like nothing ever happened. They were being firebombed the entire summer and just coincidentally happened to surrender on the very day that Russia was invading with 1 million troops on the ground in the north, and the American government forbid any journalist from covering that other than one approved Grabbler. And if anyone else did, you could be punished under capital punishment. No way.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah, that about sums it up, Austin, for sure. You know, and it's just, oh God, it's just so pathetic. And people, you know, buy it hook, line, and sinker because, you know, I'm one of the last baby boomers. You know, I was born in 1960, so I'm definitely a baby boomer. And when I went to school, we actually had to do these stupid nuclear drills where we crawled underneath our desk and, you know, all this crazy stuff. And, you know, be afraid, be very afraid. And, you know, then you find out later it's all horse hockey, and the fact that they haven't even got nuclear weapons. And if they did, we know for a fact that they would have used them by now. And any place that they would have used them in would have been, you know, like a nuclear winter place. And, you know, every place that they have ever allegedly bombed, even all the test sites, well, you know, everybody's living there, going there, no problem, no half-life. You know, all that stuff is just completely made up, and they just continue the lie. It's amazing. But what have we come to expect from our mainstream media, right? All right.
Yo, what I think is crazy about the Russia thing real fast is like they literally already did this. This isn't even a new psyop. They did this with the Cold War. If you Google how long was the Cold War, it'll say 40 years. So 40 years of propaganda. And like, we now know for sure that they were working in a concerted effort to propagandize their population. So I don't see how people wouldn't know that all of this is a psyop.
Well,
They didn't even change up the story.
Well, I think the people that are awake do know it, even though, yeah, I'm surprised that, you know, Mark Sargent believes that nukes are real, which I don't get that at all. But I have to have a talk with him about that one of these days, because I'm really curious why anybody would believe that, especially when there's so much overwhelming evidence against it, you know?
Well, it would require you to say that Nikola Tesla lied for sure. I mean, he might have been a Grabbler Phil story, but you can read it. It's hard to find it. That's why I lean towards what Tesla said. But he literally said that he disintegrated atoms with billions billions of volts and nothing happened. And he told the people there, like, there are quote unquote scientists that say this will result in an explosion. I think they're completely wrong, but just so you know. Then they all stayed there and nothing happened. So, I mean, why, you weren't taught that part.
Yeah, that's true. And I also heard, was it Tesla that said something about in order for the nuclear reaction to actually occur, and this was bizarre, and I don't remember where I heard this, but there had to be specific celestial alignments that would facilitate that. Was that Tesla that said that, or do you know?
I've never read Tesla saying that, but that's very, very interesting. I wouldn't say that Tesla maybe wouldn't say something like that, because he said that everything has to do with the the celestial movement in the ether, energy wise, terrestrially. Like terrestrial energy was all about that movement above. So I don't know. I've never heard.
Absolutely.
I don't know that he said that, but yeah, that's crazy to think about.
Yeah, I mean,
Like I was gonna say with like the Elias effect, like they talk about the pendulum so much, but the Elias effect shows that during eclipses, the pendulum just starts going crazy. So like there's no doubt an energy transfer from celestial to terrestrial.
yeah, no doubt. I don't know. It's just crazy. But okay, so next up we have with us John TheMorgile. How you doing, John?
Hey, Bob. Yeah, man, that Blue Ridge Parkway, dude. You can take that all the way up into Virginia, and it just gets even more and more beautiful up further north you get. But yeah, this whole thing about nuclear war with Russia, man, I don't buy it for even a second. Nuclear bombs, as far as I can tell, are a hoax, and we've been really staunch allies with Russia ever since World War II, and it's just a propaganda machine. Found that it behooves the powers that ought not be to have this sort of proxy war going on between the superpowers, and that does them nicely. So I don't buy it for a minute. But hello everybody, happy Sunday to you.
All
The best part is that Zelensky, who's an actor who became president, and then in the movie he acted in, he was an actor who became president.
Like Ronald Reagan, like Donald Trump.
Oh my God!
They are all actors, man.
It's honestly cool to live now, though, right? Because you get to see stuff like that. Like it's just like
be cool if the whole
mind blowing.
Not that they all buy it hook, line, and sinker. And I went and did some stuff with my sister yesterday, and at one point she said something about, "Oh, I have some friends that are buying bed and breakfast rooms in the Ukraine." I'm like, "What?" She goes, "Oh, they're just doing it so that they give them money because we really need to stand by Ukraine." I'm like, "Oh my God." It's like, turn off the TV, please, God, please turn off the news.
Yeah, and that whole thing in the Ukraine, there's so many things going on, and you look at the whole story, and you look at a lot of the things that Putin is doing, and sometimes I wonder if he's kind of on the other side. He's on the opposite side than what we're being led to believe. But it's all a dog and pony show, and
Yeah, I think they're all involved, clearly.
Yeah, they're all involved, but I think that they let Russia be more free, and they're closer to the center, so their ancestry understands more about the earth and like the importance of more north than them. And now, if they can get the whole world to agree that Russia bad,
Right.
it's all play. Putin's obviously in the play, but if they can get the people to psychologically agree that Russia bad, then they disagree with all these fundamental principles that Russia still instills. Like they forbid genetically modified organisms, and they will actually help you. The government will help you if you'll grow your own food, but it can't be GMO. And they help with reproducing. Like if you reproduce within like the Russian foundation, they incentivize that as well, which I know that triggers a lot of people. And so like building families and growing clean food, they promote it, and they literally banned like porn, like different like public expressions of sodomy, and whatever else the thing is. So like overall, I think that Russia's actually maybe over the mark. Like Putin's in on it, but Russians don't really know that because they're much more free. If they can get everyone to agree that Russia's freedom is bad, then they win. I think that's all this is. It's like a cartoon psychological warfare.
Yeah. Yeah, no doubt. Crazy, crazy stuff. All right, so let's see. I guess what I want to do is I want to start out by looking at this, and we'll see if we can get away with playing it. But this was just released, I guess 3 days ago, and I watched it a few times. It's just like I said, it just pisses me off because it is so utterly full of BS. I mean, they didn't get anything right. They didn't get a single thing right, and I'm sorry.
I said no, they didn't get anything right at all.
And of course, they won't rebut us. They won't debate us. They won't do anything. They just completely ignore us. Of course, we kind of take the same stance towards a lot of Globers because they're just going to sit there and tell you the same stuff over and over and over again. I mean, God, some of the people I hear, debating on the Glober side and what they say, they will say one thing and turn right around and contradict themselves. Just for the sake of argument. And, you have to wonder, it's like, are these people for real, or are they being paid to go on these shows and just wreak havoc, and, look stupid? I don't know. It just blows me away because they don't have an argument.
Just appeal to authority.
See,
there's no way people from 1600 are wrong. So that's about it.
CNN covering it seems like a victory lap. I heard about this, but I haven't seen it. So I'm excited.
We haven't seen it yet. Yeah, that's funny.
Well, you will definitely see it, for sure. And let's see. All right, so let's go ahead and start it. And then if anybody wants to comment, just interrupt right away, and I will pause it because we'll be doing.
I was just going to say, this woman is the only woman I've ever seen can write a book about a topic without actually researching that topic. But hey, to each his
Make
own,
fun of
right?
everybody else because everybody else is the one that does things for money. I guess she wrote the book for free. I'm taking it because otherwise it would be taking advantage of a conspiracy theory and making money off of it, which is bad.
Yeah, no, it definitely was like $20 or something. I thought about buying it. And it's like, nah, I'm not going to support that clown. Especially because, just listening to her summary of it tells you everything about it is a lie.
Mm-hmm.
So there you have it. All right, so let me go ahead and start this up. And you guys, just like I said, just start talking if you want me to pause it. And we will see how this works out. Here we go.
And this is Reality Check on the extremist beat.
Okay, there's the first lie. This is not Reality Check. Okay, I'm getting carried away here. Let's continue.
The Flat Earth Society. The name itself is a punchline, right? I'm talking about those truly committed conspiracy theorists who still believe, against literally all evidence,
No, not literally.
the world is not round, but flat.
Daredevil Mad Mike Hughes is dead after he attempted to launch his homemade rocket Saturday. He eventually wanted to go into near orbit in his quest to prove his theory that the Earth is flat.
This is why I didn't watch it, by the way. This is why I didn't watch it, bro, because I'm already so mad. They just made it to make us mad. They don't even. That's it. They're like teasing us.
Yeah, exactly. And Mike Hughes, he really, I have my serious doubts about whether or not he even really believed in flat Earth. I think he was just out there trying to get publicity points, and he saw flat Earth as an easy way to do that. And he even did an interview at the Denver conference, and somebody asked him, well, what does this have to do with flat Earth? And he said, nothing at all, and other people that knew him were saying, well, no, he was just in this for the publicity. And of course he had IPS, backing him 100%, but whatever. And he seemed like he was a nice guy on the surface, but then behind the scenes, you had this guy that was going around copywriting people's names and their actual names. I think he did that to you. He's trying to do it with Mark Sargent. You think he did that to you, Jeran, or he's trying to?
Yeah.
And and I asked him, I'm like, Mike, to what end? What would you do that? Well, that way, if the government, if they have anything coming to them, like Mark Sargent has anything coming to him from the government, I can get it. And I go, well, why would you do that if it's coming to him? Well, because he needs to be punished. That's like,
oh wow, this dude. So I would be like, wow, so you work for the government? That's crazy, bro. How long you been doing that?
Yeah, exactly. Well, and you have to wonder.
Well, wait, what's the question, Bob? this dude shot a rocket how high? Okay, so he wasn't trying to do anything. Any flat earther if he walked up to a flat earther, he's like, "Hey, bro, will you donate to me? I'm building a homemade rocket, and I'm gonna go a couple thousand feet in the air, and I'm gonna prove the Earth's not a ball." Every real flat earther would laugh and say, "I can go higher than that in a building, though."
Yeah. Well, he got the IPS plan to basically come up with $3,000 or $4,000, something like that, just to put the word flat Earth on the side of the rocket, which obviously paid for a lot of the rocket costs.
I think it was more like $10,000 for that, but hey.
Dude, if this isn't a CIA psyop, I don't know what one is, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wait till you hear. There's more.
Oh, there's a lot more. Let's continue on.
Talk about Copernicus or Columbus, the arc of the sun, space travel, or transnational flights that circumnavigate the globe every day. But no, these folks would still insist that the world is flat.
Yes, transnational flights that circumvent the globe every single day, only on an east to west axis. There are no
and that
north,
map
south.
is actually on congress.gov library. Yeah, that's correct. That's the early 20th century map that seems to be surprisingly very accurate, and it's on the government's own website.
Really? This one here?
That's where I found this. Yeah, I found what he wrote, and then this was attached. It's on Congress. It's on Congress's library online.
That's interesting, because I came up with somebody asked, I think David, when David was doing an interview, and let me see if I can find it real quick here, what he thought of the such and such projection map, and he said that he hadn't heard of it, so I went and I found it, and oh gosh, I'll have to look for it while we're watching this, but it looks like it's a little bit better than the Gleason, but not that. So there's another competitor apparently in there now. But, I think maybe they're just trying to overwhelm us with, other knockoffs and other fakes. I'm not sure. So I'm not.
Yeah, this dude's introductory paragraph dismantles the globe, and it's very concise and straight to the point. I'll find it in a few minutes and I'll drop it to you. It's hilarious. The paragraph the dude wrote before this map, and this is on the government's website again. So it's hilarious that they're using it. Of course they are, because they use their own library, because the CNN is the CIA.
Yeah, there you go. Okay.
So in this video that they come right out and they start talking about the exclusivity of circumnavigation. Anybody that looks into flat Earth, even cursorily, just as something that they're looking at a curiosity, globetards, you'll find that circumnavigation is not exclusive to globe Earth, right? I mean, that's an obvious thing. The circumnavigation works in either flat Earth or globe Earth. So when they come out on CNN saying, "Oh, circumnavigation, that's his linchpin here," I mean, that's crazy. I mean, really? So they're gonna go with circumnavigation?
My man, this is a victory lap, though. It's a victory lap. It's a victory lap.
Yep, and this is the one that David was questioned about, the Helleric triaxial boreal projection. But Cami says one of the biggest things wrong with it is the distance between South America and Africa, because there are literally flights that take a mere 2 hours, to go from here to here. And that looks like a little bit too long for me. So who knows? And she's, based that on real world actual information. So I tend to think that it may be accurate. And this does seem to be one thing that they backed off. This seems to be more along the lines of Antonio Subaratz's map, but same thing was wrong with that. There are too many known things and distances that connect these two. And this just wouldn't be conducive to that. So there you have it. All right, so let's get rid of that and continue.
And that itself offers real insights, actually, into the endurance of conspiracy theories and why some people so stubbornly cling to them. That's the subject of a great new book called Off the Edge: Flat Earthers, Conspiracy Culture, and Why People Will Believe Anything. The author is Kelly Weill, reporter on the extremism and internet beat at my old site, The Daily Beast, and it is great to welcome her to Reality Check.
Yeah. The thing about this is she writes about why people will believe anything. And it's like, if anybody would know about that, it would be the mainstream news outlets. If it's on the mainstream news, people buy it. And again, this is this whole reverse psychology tactic. Turn it around, do the projection on the people that you're attacking of exactly what you're doing. And, because it's on the mainstream news, you have the advantage because you have the bigger audience. People don't want to stray from the herd. Therefore, they're going to be right along with that groupthink, right? So yeah, it is funny what people will believe. It's absolutely outrageous what they will believe, but he's right about that. Let's continue.
Where did the modern incarnation of this very, very old idea get started?
Modern flat earth theory really emerged around the mid-1800s. It was really one guy's fault. He was a quack doctor, a conspiracy theorist, who started promoting flat earth theory based on his observations on a long, straight canal, which he said looked perfectly flat, and therefore, to his eye, the rest of the world should be flat too. People
Obviously, she's speaking of Robotham, right?
wanted
yeah,
a simpler.
It's fault of one guy, not of nature.
But to be fair, they were honest and said a very old idea. You're right, bro. You mean like forever?
Well,
so they're talking about that.
Oh, go ahead, John. I'm sorry.
What Robotham said was that if the Earth is a globe, then standing water will be convex, and if the Earth is flat, then standing water will be flat. And he set out to measure that and found that standing water was in fact flat. And so there you have it. But for her to say what, the way that she couched it is just so typical of how they are dismissing this perspective and completely ignoring the facts. But anyway, sorry.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, of course, they say around 1800, that's when the globe really started getting pushed mainstream. So they literally self-project the exact inverse of the truth, which is not even until early 1900s were people in schools being taught the Earth's a globe. She's like, only in the mid-1800s did some guy try to jump back up and say the Earth's flat. That's when it started back. No, that's when the globe even started to be pushed mainstream.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so funny. Everything seems to have happened during the 20th century. And I still can't remember where I read it, but somewhere I was reading a conspiracy page and they were saying the 20th century is where the devil's going to do all of his work and all this crazy stuff's going to happen. Well, now we're in the 21st century and, 22 years into it now, or 21 years into it. And it sure seems like all this stuff is really happening now. But a lot of the lies, a lot of the framework, of course, came out for all of this in the 20th century. So, they're operating now basically trying to say, well, back in the 1800s, people were backwards and we didn't know as much as we know today. So obviously they were stupid. We're smart. Nobody ever thought of flat earth except the entire rest of the world. But here comes the United States. It's a country that's only 250 years old or something like that now. And we've got all the answers, right? Because we supposedly went to the moon. What a freaking joke. That's something.
What's so funny though is what Robotham was responding to were the globe Earth claims that really haven't changed much since the 1800s. And he responded to all of the things like circumnavigation and ships going over the curve and just all the things that we're familiar with in the 20th century. It was the same arguments in the 1800s. Really, the only thing that changed since then is NASA, right? I mean, they've gotten more complex with their bullshit.
Yeah, pretty much. Let's continue on.
Flat too. People wanted a simpler answer than ideas that might have been frightening. So flat earth theory took on this central role for people who wanted to discard emerging scientific thought. And unfortunately, it's stuck around since then.
We don't think the world's flat. We know that the world is flat because it is a law, actually. It's a law of physics, a law of God, a law of nature.
Charles Johnson is the president of the International Flat Earth Research Society. Its membership contains some 2,800 people who firmly believe the Earth is indeed flat.
I remember this from when I was reporting on the extremist beat and writing Wingnuts.
Now, I got to say
So
something
wait,
about. Go ahead.
debate.
Yeah, I was
Well,
just going to
they
make that
just said-
comment.
Yeah. Sorry. Go ahead, Bob.
Okay, so yeah, what I was going to say about it's interesting that they pick, instead of the Flat Earth Society, that they go back and they show this guy from the International Flat Earth Research Society, right? IFRS. Why would they do that? You know, because especially since their mainstream, you know, hit propaganda has always been to direct everybody to the Flat Earth Society, because, you know, it's a whole bunch of nonsense. But maybe they were thinking that process just was not getting the job done. So what do? So now they're talking about the International Flat Earth Research Society. And, you know, whether you believe Eric Dubé is a great researcher or not, and, you know, I'll be the first to say that Eric woke a lot of people up. Eric definitely has a lot of good material, but the one thing that has always made me very suspicious of Eric Dubé is his demeanor in the community. It doesn't make sense that IFRS, you know, one of the first things that you go to when you go to IFRS, that they're all talking about, and also has the highest amount of hits, it seems like, on their entire webpage, is who the shills are, who you can trust, who you can't trust, and why, right? And it's like this little who's who of his personal vendettas. And, you know, to see him go on and make accusations and false statements about a lot of people, like Jeran, for example, you know, he knows full damn well that Jeran was never involved in any crypto coin scams or anything like that. But for whatever reason, he just decided to attack and use that, saying, well, yeah, he's a big crypto scammer, you know, he should be in jail. And then he's got this, you know, flat earth wall of shame. Mark Sargent was one of his first people that he didn't want on there. Was it Paul Michael Bales was another person? Of course, Paul Michael Bales didn't have any, you know, loss hope for him either. Go ahead, John.
Well, I mean, so in my opinion, Eric Dubé is a fucking asshole, but he is the president of IFRS, right? So, but this piece that we're watching just said that other guy was head of IFRS. So, was he like a previous head of IFRS, or who is that guy?
Yeah, he was the old
That was
head.
what I was thinking.
Yeah, he was last century's head of IFRS.
Gotcha. Okay, gotcha.
And IFRS basically, you know, I don't know when Eric Dubé just kind of proclaimed himself. I don't know if he proclaimed himself or if IFRS actually did something to me. I don't know. I don't know how it happened, but I mean, we all know that he proclaims himself the president of IFRS. And, you know, when you have a website that is, you know, the great majority of the material on there is telling you who is shilling you, who is lying to you, and those people in those groups are actually some of the best content producers that we have in Flat Earth. You just got to say, okay, either Dubé his ego is so far out of control that he is, you know, just the narcissist extraordinaire, which I begin to wonder about, or he's intentionally trying to do damage to the Flat Earth, which of course is exactly something that leading the opposition would do. So,
well, then the whole neo-Nazi trope as well, right? That Eric sort of single-handedly reintroduced into Flat Earth. And, you know, I got to admit, some of the stuff that he did that was, you know, against the grain was actually very well done. I mean, Eric Dubé, the person, and his work are two separate things, right? I mean, so I don't confuse those. But, you know, the whole Nazi trope is something that he did introduce. And I remember thinking, oh, God, you know, 5 years ago, well, they're gonna character assassinate all flat earthers by saying, oh, well, they're a bunch of neo-Nazis now, right? Because their leader is a neo-Nazi, right? I mean,
and that's exactly where they go in this little hit piece. By the way, I don't know if you've seen it yet, John, or not, but this is exactly where they go in this hit piece. You know, he says several times, well, Nazi flat earthers, I didn't see this going there. Well, you know, like I said, I don't know 100%. I can't say 100%, but what I do know is that when you're representing flat earth and you're attacking some of the most prominent names and some of the hardest working people in it, that have done the most good for flat earth, and and basically try and derail everything that other people have tried to do for flat earth, like the conventions, and say that anybody promoting these conventions or trying to build up a sense of community is just destroying it and tearing it down. I think you're crazy. I think that's absolutely wrong, and I will never understand why Dubé thinks he has to do that. So that is the reason why I have my reservations about whether or not it's true. I'm not saying 100% that he is, but there's certainly enough evidence that makes you wonder. You know what I mean? Anybody else have any comments on that? Surprise.
Well, I mean, obviously, obviously my opinion has always been the same, that he would have been handed the keys to be the head of this thing from day one. I don't even know anybody that would have said anything different. If we were actually a tight-knit community, I mean, nobody would have cared if he was president of the entire thing. And for somebody to get there first, like he did, and then immediately attack anybody who comes along, which is what he's done for the last 7 years, then you have to see why the movement is in the position that it's in, which is fragmented, segmented, and the word that gets thrown around constantly now, no matter what you do, is shill. And really, Eric Dubé is the one who introduced the word with the Shill Hall of Fame and everything, and not introduced the word to the world, but at least to the movement. And so there's always been these accusations from day one. And go look at his shill board. Which person has gone away? Which person has he drove out of the community? Which person? None. So it's been 7 years of wasted breath when he could have been doing a million other things, and the community would be way more tight. And so if there's any shill, it's Eric Dubé.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And, another thing that's absolutely insane, he didn't like the idea of Cami working on a magnetic map, to try and, bring some resolution to the flat earth map. And, in his way of attacking her, not only did he totally condescending about everything she was trying to do, but then he started going on this terror, basically insinuating that she was a man, right? That had had a sex change and became a female or whatever, or female became, I don't know what he said, but he started pushing that line, and it's just utter horseshit. And, we still get a lot of problems from the IFERS board. In fact, I have a pretty good idea. This guy I just banned, this DAGR, I don't know if you saw this guy, where he's attacking you, Jeran, saying that, well, because you promote Ethereum, it's a complete scam, but being run by JP Morgan and Goldman Sachs and the SEC. Yeah, I mean, this guy, it's like, Jeran talks about Bitcoin because it's something that not only is relevant in today, but he gives his opinion on it. Is he right about it? He never claims to be 100% right about it. But you know what? A lot of us have made money on Bitcoin. I have. A lot of people have. I would have made a lot more if I would have listened to my oldest son. But, I tend to...
Isn't it true that nobody knows who's behind the different cryptocurrencies? Like, to say that it's Goldman Sachs, and it very well may be, but to say that it's one entity or another, I think is a bit premature, right? Isn't it? Because we just don't know who's.
Yeah.
Just people say words. It's the truth of it, right? You can come along and say, oh, crypto is run by the CIA, and it makes the people who've done no research go, yeah, maybe. And the people who have done research look at it and laugh at you. So it's just which one you want to be on.
Okay, somebody asked me to turn my mic up a little bit. Hopefully that's a little better. But yeah, I mean, so, if you don't want to listen to Jeran talk about crypto, don't listen to him. But, that's something that he has separated, that's separate segments in his show. He even created the crypto coin. And if it's what he wants to talk about it, let him talk about it. Personally, I think that information is valuable. Personally, I think that crypto basically is going to be the way of the future. Is there going to be government issued crypto? Absolutely. You'd have to be a complete idiot to think that that won't happen. But one of the only things that I think is going to keep us safe from them completely being able to dilute their crypto supply and be able to use it to track you 100% is the competitors, which have been around for a long time, like Bitcoin, which will, not allow them to do that, right? And that's going to be, and always has been, a big problem for them. So, it's just amazing, these these techniques that they will use against all of you. And I'm giving examples of Jeran specifically. Of course, I could give examples about everyone on this panel that people have attacked on. And, it doesn't make sense to attack the community if you are supposedly promoting something that you believe in. To me, that just makes no sense whatsoever, and it's highly, highly suspicious. And you're right, Jeran. Eric Dubé could have taken the keys, wrapped it up. Everybody would have been 100%. He could have unified this community. But instead, he chose to be... He chose to be, an attacker.
Very divisive. Yeah, he was very divisive. I remember when I first started looking at flat Earth, I reached out to Eric, and he immediately labeled me a shill. And I see, like, personally, I know that I'm not a shill, right? I care about anybody else, but for him to attack me and call me a shill, that led me to wonder, okay, well, is everybody else he's calling a shill?
Right.
Is it just like me?
I think he would know that, right? Which is why I've never called anybody a shill, because as soon as I do, if I'm wrong, that person immediately takes me on their, wherever I'm at in their kind of list of who they believe and who they trust, I go to the very bottom, right? And then of course I know they're going to portray that idea to others, which is why would you do that? You don't know anybody's a shill. And if you do, why would you even let it out? Why not hold it in and let this shill kind of hang themselves? You wouldn't come out and say, oh, Patricia Steere is a shill, because then guess what? Patricia Steere is going to change whatever technique she's using. So it doesn't do any good to call him out. So it's hilarious. You think he would know that, but all he did was call 25 people shills. And then he's got his little army over there, and he was able to keep because you have to figure anybody new coming into this is going to find Eric's work and say, oh, Eric's great. And then they're going to find Eric hates on all these other creators. So you've already created a divide before the person even gets their feet wet.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a brilliant tactic. It's the only person who wouldn't employ that tactic is somebody who is a flat earther, who got there first, who wanted the best for the community. That's who wouldn't do that.
Exactly. And granted,
but there's tactics, but when I first started putting out content, another tactic that, and this is sort of sidestepping the conversation, but the guy, the Lord Stephen Christ, the regular person named Stephen, the concave Earth guy, right? Well, he started attacking, I don't know, it was just such a weird psychological thing. Like, he started attacking some of the videos that I put out, or attacking the points that I made about flat Earth. He said, you better retract your work because, they're going to, it was preying on, when you put out content, you're really putting your neck on the line, and you're putting out a piece of yourself. And when people attack that, people tend to take it personally. And when you see the concave as sort of an escape from that, or a scapegoat from that, I could see how people fell into the concave thing, because it really is a volatile time in our lives when we're just sort of falling into flat Earth, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So, all right. So anyway, and that's, now we have the CNN hit piece, which CNN has no integrity whatsoever. And now they are, referring back to IFERS, and which is going to draw people to IFERS, and they're going to see that. It's like, that concerns me greatly. So what do you do? But, all I can say, I'm not calling anybody a shill, but if you really want to think about, just use your imagination. What could you do that could draw down and discredit flat Earth? That would really actually hurt it. Instead of saying stuff like, such and such has had a sex change, or, whatever. I mean, I've been told, I've been supposedly transvestigated, myself and my wife. And it's like, well, that's interesting, because our 3 kids might find that rather interesting, Anyway, it's ridiculous. So let's continue on with this.
If you're going to do transvestigations, look at the Supreme Court. Don't look at Bob.
Yeah, don't look at me, because I've never been a woman. Let's continue.
There are always conspiracy entrepreneurs. Usually there's a partisan racket. It's right-wing talk TV, radio, blogs, podcasts. But what are the financial incentives off the Flat Earth Society? Who's making money off this?
So the Flat Earth universe right now is so much bigger even than the Flat Earth Society. The internet has really democratized conspiracy theories and made it so that anybody can start their own YouTube channel, their own podcast. Conspiracy videos are very, very lucrative online. They're so scintillating. If I see...
Oh my God. I mean, talk about spin. You can't spin more than this. Yeah, conspiracy videos are pretty much lucrative online, and in a lot of fields, they absolutely are. But flat Earth is not one of them. And believe me,
it might be the worst.
Yeah, it's got to be the worst. Hands down, it's got to be the worst.
What else can you search? But you can't find the real videos. You can only find debunking stuff. You're not in recommended. You're shadow banned. You preach to the choir.
Demonetize.
Demonetize. You get no ad revenue. It's literally the worst that you could pick. And she says they're very lucrative. Whereas you can go eat tricks out of your bathtub and make a couple grand.
Yeah, exactly. No, what's lucrative is coming out as a speaker against flat Earth. In fact, when you Google flat Earth, that's all you see. And these guys are making a freaking fortune. And they're ripping people off left and right. They're taking thousands and thousands of dollars in on donation, like, Greater Sapien, to supposedly take an Antarctic flight or whatever, and then never refunds that money. People are, that side, Sean Hufford and all those guys taking in donations for their rent, on and on and on and on and on. And it's like,
A case in point, I'd love to see another CNN video that gets 100,000 hits in 2 days, right? Because the one that we're watching is like 90,000 hits in 2 days on YouTube. I'm pretty sure that the CNN's other videos don't do that well, honestly.
Yeah, 86,520.
What's the last YouTube or last flat Earth video that got 100,000 views?
Yeah, well, that wasn't that was
like 2015.
Yeah, the last flat Earth video that was pro flat Earth, I can't even. It's been years, honestly. I can't tell you, but it's probably one of yours or maybe Marty Leeds or something like that. But so no, the only flat Earth, conspiracy videos that are making a fortune, and they are making a fortune, are the ones that are being promoted by YouTube, and YouTube is doing this specifically, and they even said so, to try and discredit the flat Earth community. Now, if it's all nonsense, why would they need to do that? Are they protecting the world from us, dumb, stupid, big bag flat earthers? Why would anybody care if we were so crazy? If we had no proof whatsoever, why would they care? Well, the fact is, we do have the proof. We have all the proof. And we can go toe to toe with any of these physicists, hands down, and destroy them on every level. And they know it, we know it, and they'll never take us on.
I think it's because from within the bubble of the normie matrix, right? So like the producers of CNN, from where they're sitting, they see flat Earth as something that is definitely wrong. It's definitely not true. We're definitely crazy as far as they're concerned, and they can't understand why people are flat earthers. Of course, they're not going to look into it. They're not going to research it. Of course not. That's too far beyond the pale of what's theoretically possible, according to them. So from that standpoint, I can understand why they're trying to kill it, right? But I think it opens the larger point of, should these fucking idiots be able to censor what information we get as consumers of information? That's the question.
Yeah, I agree. And even these videos that they're showing, flat Earth proven by independent research by Mr. Beast. I don't know who that guy is, but I will almost bet this is not a pro flat Earth video. It's kind of like, Professor Dave and his response to Globebusters, which I think is up near 10 million hits or some ridiculous amount.
We could cover that today too, because that just some funny things in there as well, or the 10 challenges for flat earthers or something he has.
Yeah, I'm actually planning on doing that. Don't Sphere the Truth did a 10 series episode answering every one of those things in detail, but maybe we can shorten that up a little bit. All right, so let's continue on. Here we go.
A video on YouTube with a crazy headline, something about flat Earth. Even though I don't believe in flat Earth, I'm pretty tempted to click on that. So because these videos overperform on social media, they often get artificially boosted by social media sites' algorithms. And a lot of very savvy people on YouTube, on Facebook, picked up on that and said, okay.
What?
That's just such a lie. I mean, for them to sit there and say that the conspiracy theorists get artificially promoted on the algorithms,
Right.
That's
it's a straight up lie.
That's
Yeah.
absolutely false.
The
And later in the
anti-flat Earth,
it-
the
yeah, it doesn't.
anti-flat Earth videos are not the regular ones. It's
Cretins.
totally opposite on the legitimate flat Earth videos. They are shut down in every way, shape, and form. And they accuse us of making all this money. I mean, Globebusters has spent most of the time demonetized, and you know, even when we were monetized, we never made that much money. And you know, it's crazy because every other thing, and even they even started hitting up our theme song and giving the revenues to Ray Parker Jr. When we paid for the music, you know, for ourselves, our last one, we paid for that. We bought the rights from that, but they won't have any of it. They, you know, we can't even have our own damn theme song. It's crazy. Well, glad we have another one at least.
So this woman actually wrote a book about this topic, and she failed to even research that much. Like, I don't understand. For her to say that, I mean, YouTube literally did a press conference where I think the CEO of YouTube came out and said, specifically about flat Earth content, that they were going to shoot it down in their algorithms, and they were going to make sure that the opposing views get promoted and flat Earth views get demoted. What is she talking about? Is she just lying, or does she actually believe what she's saying? I don't understand.
She's straight up lying. This is a hit piece. She's absolutely straight up lying.
In the Spanish community, we have a lot of media articles in terms of the digital media every day posting against flat earthers. You know, trying to link us with other topics that we cannot discuss here in this platform, but they are still pushing very hard to trying to, you know, confuse people, and because the real important thing is, and every flat earther know that, is when you enter for the flat earth, you enter into a whole bunch of new information, and that is danger for the system. It's not just the flat earth.
Yeah, I agree completely.
And remember, maybe you didn't know, I covered that topic like 2 years ago, but in 2019, the Nobel Prizes opening that was took place in Chile, the open ceremony, the woman that addressed that task, in her speech, he said at the end of the speech, she said, we need to kill the flat earth thinking type. She said that in the Nobel Prize opening ceremony. I have here on video. And that represents what's going on. And then remember, in 2019, in the beginning of the year, Mrs. Down talking in the Congress, you know, with that guy saying that, yeah, we're going to, you know, banning the flat earth topic, and that happened too. You know, they are really against against this type of thinking.
Well, you know, and they did. They gave us. We had a heyday of, you know, 2 to 3 years where flat Earth actually really was allowed to take off, and I think that part of it caught them by surprise. And you know, then all of a sudden they rearranged their infrastructure, their search algorithm, and said, okay, now we're going to promote all these anti-flat Earth videos. And, you know, then accuse them of saying, oh yeah, look at these flat earthers that are making a fortune. No, it's not the flat earthers. It's the people that are opposing flat Earth that are making a fortune. Go ahead,
This is
John.
the paradox, though. So YouTube performed how it was supposed to perform in the beginning, right? Because flat Earth's a topic that people are interested in, and then when they get it, they want to share it, right? It's not something that you keep quiet about. So YouTube performed as it should have, and you could really get a lot of views on your videos in the beginning. Well, they had to change it, right? Because they're getting too much pressure from all different sides, I'm
powers
sure.
that be. Yeah,
but
because
so that's what it is.
Our argument was too logical. It made too much sense to too many people. And when the listings, you know, started, the search rankings started outdoing Donald Trump, the president of the United States, then they knew they had a problem, right? They knew they had a problem. People were looking into it. And of course, that's why they changed it. It wasn't YouTube's CEO that went to Congress. It was a representative, of YouTube, but, same smell, where they were told that, yeah, we just basically put a notification on there saying, no, the world isn't flat. And then, and then they didn't say a word about how we are going to completely make this completely lopsided, where the only thing that gets promoted in flat Earth is the negative aspects of it, right? And the PBS thing where Stephen Hawking did his, and that was a blatant outright lie. Everybody has tore that video a new one, and yet people still reference it. It's absolutely amazing. So, all right, let's continue on with the video.
Well,
Go ahead.
Well, let's not forget, they not only did they change the algorithms, but then they had the actual shills being let out of the native shills or whatever. Because there are shills out there. There certainly are. I just don't think they're prominent flat earthers necessarily.
Yeah. Well, what's interesting is even in movies like Behind the Curve, they didn't want people coming to Globebusters or Jeranism to be able to hear our rebuttal, our side of the story, right? So they just basically, Jeran and I were portrayed as a couple of nameless, faceless people, more or less, and with these crazy flat Earth beliefs, and they didn't really talk about us that much, anymore, other than they made us look stupid. They made me look like I was saying that, oh yeah, we detected the Earth rotating, and well, it was all over, but I wasn't going to accept that. Well, that's because we didn't detect the Earth rotating, we detected the ether rotating, and they knew that full well, and they blatantly lied about that. But I've told that story a million times. Let's continue.
I'm going to make the flat earth video because I know that's going to bring me money. So there is a whole shadow ecosystem to how people are engaging with flat earth, not necessarily because they believe in it. Some people do. Some people are a little bit more cynical. And these people are realizing that if you make conspiracy content, you're probably going to get some profit.
That is such an important and, in retrospect, obvious point. It's the algorithms. This is yet another example of the algorithms creating a perverse incentive structure that leads to totally absurd places, promoting cults and conspiracy theories.
That's true. And to YouTube's credit, they have, I think 2019, they started tinkering with the algorithm to delist flat earth videos. They realized we've got a real problem here. And now it's harder to find them. It's harder to accidentally stumble upon them. But to that end, I would say that the genie was already out of the bottle.
Yeah, but it's not so hard still to find anything that goes against them and supposedly debunks it and makes absurd claims about it. Those are easy to find.
Too. I thought it was lucrative, but now they're delisted but lucrative.
Yeah. Well, like I said, all you have to do is do a search on flat Earth, and the first umpteen dozen pages. Well, in fact, I mean, one day I just went there for like a half an hour going forward and forward and forward in the searches. And before I even found anything that was remotely flat Earth, I was, 50, 60 pages in. It's ridiculous.
So, but if I want to make videos about how the royal family's a bunch of lizards or whatever, and people like the videos, I should be able to do that successfully. If there's a market for it, I shouldn't be impeded by the structure because they say that it's offensive to the royal family that I call them lizards, right? And I'm using an analogy here, but it's not their place to do that.
Well, there's a reason why the elite bought up Google and bought up YouTube, because, again, when they control the majority of the media outlets, and let's face it, Google and YouTube get more hits than all the mainstream media combined out there, right? Hands down. And so that's a smart move for them to go with the biggest and, keep the majority. As long as they can keep their stronghold 95% of their company line, well, then it benefits them. And, people do not want to be, and then they just make terrible fun of everybody else and burn down everybody else. And of course, nobody wants to be, that stupid kid that believes in flat Earth and gets, beat up after school and made fun of. So
let's not forget now, YouTube enjoys certain privileges by being a sort of an independent, uninterested third party. They're not a publisher of content. Legally, they're just sort of a like an uninterested platform for people to post their content. And so they get out of certain types of litigation from that role. But when they overstep that boundary and they start picking and choosing what makes it on their platform, they're now playing the role of an editorial position. And I'm sorry, but a good lawyer could sue the crap out of them for certain things.
Yep. All right, let's move
Just
on.
saying.
Videos were everywhere for 5 years before they tamped down on that algorithm. So yeah, it's very hard to decouple the success of this conspiracy theory from the big tech companies that willingly or not made it really profitable.
When we come back, you'll hear about how to get people out of conspiracy theories and cults, including, of course, the Flat Earth Society. I get that in cults and conspiracy theories.
Did you catch the cults?
Oh yeah, we're a cult now, and that's one of the shows I did a long time ago in opposition to John LeBon. He went down this thing of 10 things that define a cult, and of course he found us guilty on all 10. And when I went through them, I think I proved it conclusively that not one single thing identified us as a cult. And, it just is amazing how people can see things so obviously different, but what do you do?
But each individual that's a flat earther, I don't see it as being cult-like, but I'm sure that there are plenty of flat earth proponents or flat earth believers, let's use that vernacular, that are, right? I don't know. I just
well, in the way that we're promoting
there are
it.
They're difficult.
Yeah, we have people like Dave and his app, and that's one of the most astounding things out there promoting flat Earth is Dave and the app, and is brought on God knows how many hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people, to bringing us closer together so that we can communicate, because every other avenue of networking has been basically shut down to us. So again, like I said, and then you got Eric Dubé that are picking on these people, and he hasn't. I don't think Eric has gone off too bad on David, but he has, to a certain degree, where he still fits everybody in, with the shills. Anybody that is associated with Jeran or David or me or you or anything like that, well, we're all guilty of being shills, and of course that would kind of insinuate that we are working for the man, right? Which is just stupid. But all right, let's continue.
Particularly in the online era, the community is self-reinforcing, especially when people feel rejected by the rest of society for their beliefs. But what's the appeal of this particular conspiracy theory? Why flat Earth for these folks?
I think for flat Earth, it offers a whole vision of the universe. Another theory like QAnon or chemtrails, well, that's just a little part.
I just love how they put the disc in space graphic, like just a complete absurd misrepresentation of what flat earthers believe, and that's their graphic, right? I love it. That's just so typical.
That okay, yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, of course, they're using all of their techniques, everything they have, like, the Earth is just floating out in space. It's like, no, it's not in space because we don't believe in space, or whatever space is certainly isn't what they tell us that it is. But, the dumber they make us sound, the more that, the more intelligent they make themselves sound by promoting lies like space could actually be a vacuum without killing us all. Or that the equator could spin at 1,037.5 miles an hour without killing us all. It's simply not possible. And then they sit there and say, you guys are dumb and you don't understand science or physics. And it's like, oh, really?
But it's the whole thing where they try to marry the heliocentric model and its values with the moon being, a 250,000 miles away, and the sun being 93 million miles away, and all the planets are balls in space, just like the Earth's a ball in space. And so when you take the flat Earth pancake and put it in space, that's like, it's two completely opposing forces, and put into this chimera of ridiculous absurdity. But anyway,
Yep. All right, let's continue.
They really are on thick, aren't they?
Yep.
QAnon or chemtrails, well, that's just a little part of a conspiracy universe. It sort of fits alongside the accepted reality that most of us share. Flat Earth is almost like a religion in its totality. If you believe it, then you have a whole new worldview. And alongside that, you have a whole new set of friends and people who share your ideas. When you buy into Flat Earth, it brings you into this community.
Your reporting also shows, though, this troubling overlap between the far right and the flat earthers. Explain. How did that work?
So there's no inherent reason there should be so many flat earth Nazis, and yet there are a lot of flat earth Nazis.
Oh my God. There's no inherent reasons that there should be flat earth Nazis, but there are a lot of flat earth Nazis. Now, where do you suppose that statement was rooted from? Any takers? Well, I'll tell you where it came from. Again, going right back to the illustrious leader of IFERS, and I'm not saying even that I necessarily disagree with Eric on this, because when you do the research and you look back at what went on in the world wars, and when Hitler came to power, and the camps, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, it seemed like Germany still had a huge reverence for Adolf Hitler. Because they believed that he was truly, pulling for the good of the country, right? And he may have been a great guy. I mean, who was it? Who was the guy that built the freshwater system? Gaddafi, right? And then that was completely demonized, right? And seen as something horribly bad when he was trying to give every person in the Middle East all this, clean and fresh water. Again, this is a technique that they use to spin this. So what they do now is again, and they're going over to IFERS using Eric Dubé, and he's the man that has intimately tied flat Earth and being a Nazi supporter or an Adolf Hitler supporter together, hand in hand, which again makes me really wonder, what is the guy's true agenda? I don't know. But I don't like
I think
it.
what she meant to say, though, is that flat earthers start to find out that means a bunch of countries' governments are working together. And once you start to look into a group of people that are constantly in a concerted effort to subvert and lie to you, you seem to consistently run in to Zionists. Uh-oh.
Yeah, exactly. It's funny. You guys might want to look at some of her books that she reads also. You should different angles of the books that she reads. They're pretty pathetic.
One of the books said, please kill me.
Yeah, totally. All right.
For true. I mean, it's down there in the right corner. You need to go a little bit out in the frame, but it said that. I read it at the beginning. Nah, just for pointing out.
Yep.
Nothing special.
Yeah, dude. I'm just gonna say. I'm just gonna say that you're anti a language or an area. You're anti-Mediterranean language, so therefore I'm right.
You're okay. I was just looking for the.
Oh yeah, I was like the magic word anti-Semitic is just. Why are you accusing me of being bigoted towards language? That's super weird insult.
Yeah, exactly. Look at this. Please kill me. Burning down the house. Infinite jest. This kind of reminds me, and you have to wonder if they do this on purpose, because remember when Bill Gates, did all his interviews, right? And he's reading books on how to manipulate the stats, and completely turning them around. And this is his reading material, right? In other words, how do I lie to everybody to get them to believe my position? And he has those books on display prominently right behind him. And I think that there's a lot of that, telling a big story right here behind this woman. It's crazy. So, all right, let's continue
Yeah,
on.
she 100% doesn't know the radius. Let's let her continue to tell us about the Earth when she doesn't even know what size it's supposed to be.
Exactly. Let's continue.
And just very short, but unfortunately, for give my opinion about the Nazi connection. But here in the Spanish community, there is a lot of people that they believe that the same thing as Donald Trump, like Adolf Hitler was the savior, or at least was the last guy who really know the target. And there is a very well grown community that there are flat earthers, but they still believe that idea that Hitler was a guy who really was against the international bankers and things like that. So we have a lot of
dude, bye. I didn't know you were gonna trap us with the first video where we can't talk like unless we're on Rockfin. Ira's trying to pull it out of me right now, man. How dare Germany say that if you make babies in your own country with your own people, they'll promote it? How dare him not want central banking systems? Oh my goodness, what a bad guy! Like, it's hard to, it's like, dude, it's such a joke. Like when you really look into it. But what is YouTube will let us say this, right? What's declassified by the U.S. government is when they said Hitler died, obviously wasn't true because the CIA was tracking him many years after that in South America.
Yes, in Paraguay, but I don't want to spend much time, but there is a lot of people that link that two topics together, and we have a lot of media articles that they accuse us as community the same thing. It doesn't matter. The problem is, and I know that maybe there is people against about what I'm going to say, but you have the opposite side where they use the biblical and the religious link too, to trying to debunk us or trying to say, okay, we are a bunch of religious people trying to put some religious agenda. So the problem is that when you discuss the flat earth is just a geometrical problem. It's a geometry problem. It's not based on history. It's not based on religious things or cult things. It's just a geometrical problem. Then it came the word, well, who is going to lie us or why they're going to lie us? And then you need to address historic topics, history topics, religious topic, whatever. But the main thing that you need to take into account is a mathematical and geometrical thing. The rest is just opinion based on history and other books. So the elite or the media use what is at their hands to trying to confuse people and trying to give us tags to put away new people that maybe wants to enter in this discussion.
Well said.
Yep, well said. Let's continue. Hang on. Let's continue.
Okay.
Fringe of the fringe. I think conspiracy theories are very powerful in political extremist movements because they are looking for alternative explanations. They're looking for often scapegoats for why they feel disempowered, why they feel angry.
I got to say, I didn't see flat Earth Nazis coming. I didn't. I want to end this on a hopeful note, as I am wont to do, and look at some useful solutions, particularly when you've interviewed folks who've left the Flat Earth Society. What was it that ultimately convinced them? Because it really could offer folks some tips about getting people out of cults overall, and God knows we need that right now.
One thing that came up again and again, talking to ex-flat earthers and also people who help others leave cults, was that you have to do it with empathy. I know sometimes that can be really hard because flat earth seems like an easy punchline, or sometimes it can be hard because someone believes in a conspiracy theory that's morally reprehensible to you, like QAnon is to me. But offering someone empathetic conversation about why they believe what they do and why those beliefs might be false, and then giving them a safe place to land when they exit the conspiracy theory. I've spoken to so many conspiracy theorists who are worried about what happens when they try to go back to the friends and family they alienated, Will those people make fun of them? Will they point and laugh and say you were wrong? And I think the most helpful thing that you can do is welcome people back and bring them back to reality gently. Give them a safe landing place.
What a load of crap. Again.
This is so edited though, bro. Like his responses are clearly not in real time.
Yeah. Well, and not only that, let's look at the people. Let's look at some of the people who have gone back to the globe, right? Some, which we're not even sure if they really did. Tiger Dan, for one, I don't think he ever actually went back to the globe as much as he was, calling out, some problems he had with Antarctica, right? And then he started going off on the flat earth community, and then he just disappeared. But then let's look at somebody like Ranty Flat Earth. And his whole story is amazing, right? Because in my opinion, this is what happened with Ranty. Ranty was probably one of the best investigators out there as far as perspective and, explaining how, images would compress, all the little anomalies that would go on with images. I mean, he really had it down to a cold science, but he was taking a bunch of flack basically from the group he was hanging out with. Well, we all know who that is, right? Don't we? I'm not going to say who it is. If you don't know, then you don't want to know, because you're better off not dealing with these people. But they do the same thing. They've done the same thing to me and virtually everybody in this group. So basically, they started attacking him, and, he got sick of it. He frankly got sick of it. Not to mention the fact that he also was starting to hurt for money. And he, needed to come up with something to do to be able to earn a living. Well, all of a sudden, then he got hooked up with Conspiracy Cats. They supposedly were going to do a show on, other conspiracies other than Flat Earth or anything like that, like paranormal type shows, right? Mm-hmm. And, they did that for a while. And then as he started to get more accepted into the Ball Earth community, then the Ball Earthers that are also, being basically paid opposition, have made it so now it's lucrative for him to be able to do this. And, he kind of gets his revenge more or less on, the group that drove him there in the first place. And I know this is all my opinion, guys, so don't, I'm not speaking for anybody else here, but I know Shane fairly well. And Shane and I used to talk a lot. And the fact that he went over back to the other side the way that he did, and we've had several discussions about it since then, this was clearly about the money. It was clearly about revenge. He was sick and tired of being attacked by those clowns that attacked me and all of the Globebusters. And so he, he went on his way.
You could go do that and be an alcoholic too. Because you just need to say science, science, science. You don't actually have to think. You don't have to actually do any research anymore. It's a great position to take. Yeah. I'm thinking of calling Simon Dan here soon and getting some tattoos on my arms as well.
Yeah, exactly. Fun. And then there was Matrix Decode, right? Not somebody put Wakey Wakey. No, Wakey Wakey is still very much a flat earther. But Matrix Decode, kind of came up with one observation and then said, oh, well, that's it. And then just kind of disappeared, and we never really haven't heard anything.
Yeah, but then you're not a real flat earther though, right? Like when Ranty all of a sudden was like, look at this picture, I'll crop some of it out, and now I think the Earth's a ball. It's like, oh really? Why did I see Canada from 255 miles away with 3 miles of missing Earth curvature though? Yeah, the observations don't go away. They don't go away. So there's no such thing as actually interpreting and being honest and figuring out the Earth's flat and then going back. There is no such thing. It's legit. Once you legit go flat, you don't go back.
It absolutely is. And so, on those two things, for me, it's clear that Ranty needed money, and that's now he's, doing his thing. I guarantee you he doesn't feel good about it. Because I know Shane, like I said, I know Shane, we all do. And he was not this way, and it wouldn't have, I doubt he would have ever done it had he not being rejected so hard and basically put down so hard and then being crapped on essentially, for everything that he was doing. So, and that's the only other reason that they could do it, it could be a lot more financially lucrative. you know, people have said it to me, and I've thought about this too. It's like I'd never do it, but people said, "Man, Bob, if you ever went over to the other side, you could do a lot of damage." It's like, yeah, maybe I could, but I could never live with myself. And it's not because I could do damage because I don't know that everything that we're talking about is absolutely true. I can make up shit too, you know, and I can even make it sound plausible, but that's totally against me and totally against the way that I am. And to me, for people to do that, not only are they betraying themselves, but they're betraying humanity in general. And I have no compassion for anybody that does that. It makes me sad that Ranty went that way, but you know, I'm never going to do that. And again, if I do that someday for whatever reason, then all of you would have to know that, you know, something had to be pretty dire if that happened. So
right, some piece of evidence is so huge, and I can't imagine what that might be at this point, but that's what it would take.
Yeah, or somebody literally had a gun to my head, right? Or to my family, you know, something like that. But you know, it's hoping it doesn't get to that part. But it's horrible, you know, the way this is going. Now there are some good. Go ahead, Austin.
I was saying the question I used to ask a bunch of Globers. It's funny you said that. If John Wick, from the movie, if the dude walks up to you in real life and he has a briefcase with 10 mil in it, and he puts a gun to your head and he says you got 10 seconds to answer. If you get the answer right, you win the 10 mil. If not, you gotta go. Is the Earth flat or is it a sphere? Like, how long does it take you to answer, and what's your answer? And I ask the Glober, like the people new to the subject, all the time once we tell them some of the info. But I can honestly answer and say that, like, for sure, under sub 5 seconds, I'm saying flat.
Yeah.
Looking them in the eyes. Yeah.
And saying it's certainly not a globe. And so what else could it be? You know, could it be
right
a repeating realm of some type where maybe, I don't know, but it certainly measures flat. And the globe has obviously been propped up by propaganda and indoctrination and just faulty so-called science. And it's produced nothing. I was going to point out that Professor Dave, which I don't even think he's a professor, which isn't that just a flat out lie? I'm sure I wouldn't get any shit if I was Professor Jeranism. But he has these videos and he's just talking about, here's a challenge for you flat earthers. Show me a mountain from 1,000 miles away. And it's like, okay, for you to say that, then you're an idiot. You've done no research and you're just dumb if you think that we can see through the atmosphere 1,000 miles. Yet these guys do think if you tilt the telescope up just a hair, then you can see multi-millions of years in the past. So, I mean, what do you expect?
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, Austin, if somebody asked me that question, it'd be a difficult question because, I mean, you and I differ a little bit in, you know, we have a little bit different beliefs about the creator. I'm still not entirely sure that whoever created this place is entirely benevolent, you know? And I say that in all honesty. And after 30 years of research, right, I'm still looking, I'm still trying to understand. And so I'm trying to figure out, well, if I said that and they had a gun to my head and I said flat earth, well, bam, off goes the gun. I'm dead. You know, and that's history. Well, whereas you have the belief that to betray humanity and betray your convictions in God, right, is a sin that would carry a consequence much, much, much worse than, you know, a bullet in the head and be over really quick. That you could fairly easily make that decision much easier than I, right? And so, but it's not that I'm not pursuing those answers. I truly am. But with all the things that I've looked at, I'm just not sure who the good guys are. And I am, believe me, I am in search of those answers every single day. So that's a tough question, Austin. It really is. I'd like to hear how anybody else answers it.
Yeah, I mean, fair enough, bro. Like, I definitely am not saying I know all the definitive right answers or anything, but more so I look at that as when I die, the creator would reward me for staring in the face of death with knowledge that it extends beyond the physical and not having fear. And like, so I I more perceive it as I would be rewarded than, but yeah, I mean, I guess the question better phrased, because like to say flat and put it with a dichotomy of a sphere is a little off. It would be like if they showed you a picture of the blue marble and they said, does the Earth really look like this? Because we don't know what it is. But like overall, yeah, I mean, I guess I will say honestly, I don't fear death in it, but I'm not. It's hard. I'm not saying I have all the answers because of that, but I do feel blessed that I'm to that point in my life where I can say it. Like I don't know. I look at it more like, because dude, like look at a pine cone and then a shell and then a honeycomb and then like your cells and then your electromagnetic field like that your body makes, and then electromagnetic fields overall, and that means that that's what the Earth is. Now look at the pattern of the stuff in the sky, and it all has the same pattern. And so I guess that doesn't necessarily equate to benevolence, but it is just so intricate and beautiful and majestic that it seems to lean that way, and like it definitely was designed. And like, why, if it was designed with malevolence, then why show you that that pointer everywhere? So yeah, I mean, and then of course this is personal, but like I do feel I have a personal relationship with the creator, where like when I talk to him, I'm actually talking to a creator that hears me talking to him and cares, like, and it sound, yeah, that sounds crazy, but like physical things happen. So that's kind of where I'm at with all that. I mean, I'm not trying to go too far into that, but overall, I think that the fear of death is very prohibiting, I guess. That's what I'm saying.
I would have to answer it that I know that it's not a spinning ball in space for sure. And by process of elimination, what else could it be? It's pretty obviously stationary, pretty obviously flat, definitely not a spinning ball in space. But yeah, and then all that other stuff you said too, agreed.
Yeah,
right, so that would be the honest,
that'd be
the more honest answer. The more honest answer is, in that crazy intense situation I proposed, everyone would be like, I know for a 100% fact it is not a globe like they taught us. That's what we could say.
Yeah. And John, John, you shirked the question, buddy. Come on, let's answer the question. The question was, if somebody came up to you, had a briefcase, what did you say, 5 million in the briefcase?
Yeah, 10.
And a gun against your head and said, make the decision now. Is it a flat earth or is it a ball earth? Knowing full well that if you say it's a ball earth, you've got that 5 mil and you keep your life. And if you don't, well, obviously you can figure out the rest of it, right? So first of all, answer the question honest.
Wait, Bob, let me clarify. It's an important part, I guess. Like, okay, so in the situation, John Wick just knows the right answer. Yeah, see what if it was actually a government person, you would actually need to think for the full 10 seconds, like, what's going on? But like, I'm saying, say John Wick just knows the real answer, and it's if you get the answer right, like would you put, I asked Globers it, like, would you put your life on the line? That's like, say he knows the right answer. It's not like a malevolent government.
We all know the right answer, Austin. We know the right answer. This is more of making a decision on the spot that has immediate consequences, both for something horrible and something amazing, right? Amazing as you could go buy all your monetary things, so maybe it wouldn't be that amazing, but a lot of people would say, well, it sure beats a bullet in the head, right? And that's I just think John shirked the question, and you need to answer it within the context that it was given. And I'm going to ask you too, the same thing, Jeran.
Okay. Ready.
So John, answer it. Hello, John.
Sorry, I was on mute. Okay, so the gun's to my head, and if I get the question right, I get the money, or if I answer it to the say it again.
If you get, what they want you to say. You know what they want you to say. They want you to say it's a ball earth. We all know that we're right about this, right? We don't have to second guess ourselves. It's flat. I know it's flat. Austin knows it's flat. Jeran knows it's flat. Iru knows it's flat. There's no question of that. We have all the evidence that we would ever need for a million years.
Instead of dying, I would take the money and live, and then but like I would spend that money on a trip to Antarctica.
Yeah, but then you wouldn't live very much longer after that, because you go against that deal, and then it might not just be you, but it might be your family they go after. So, again, you're shirking the question. Now, and I said I already knew I knew where Austin was going to come from, because he believes in a benevolent creator, right? And I'm just not quite there yet, right? So and you are more religious than me, so that's the question.
Well,
Stop
I believe
stalling.
in a benevolent creator, but I also believe in pragmatism, right? Being able to accomplish things in this world is important. But then there is also something to standing true to your integrity, but you don't necessarily want to die on every hill either, right?
Well, John, if they came to you and said you better take this mark on, or if they say take this mark, I'm going and denounce the Messiah, or I'm gonna decapitate you, what do you do?
Oh, well then in that case that's different.
Well, same thing. This is like the
I'm
biggest
gonna die.
lie ever. This is the biggest lie that took everyone's soul away from the fact there is a creator. So I don't know. I mean, if they were in that situation, bro, like, see, I think that's what churches don't matter. I think faith comes down to, can you actually look at death? That's what I think.
Okay.
Well, see, we're part of the creator. We live within the creator. The creator lives within us. We are inherently bonded in that way. And so, I mean, I agree with you on that level. And no, when it comes down to like my integrity or that, then yeah, sure, I'm gonna take the guillotine. But no, if I can save myself and save my family and live well, with that kind of money, then I'm gonna do that.
Interesting.
Do you see the distinction?
Yeah. Okay. So that's I didn't expect that answer out of you, John, to be honest with you. And okay, Iru, I want to know the same question from you. If you had somebody come up to you, put a gun against your head, even though you know full well the earth is flat, and said, here, take this briefcase of $5 million, knowing that they want you to say that the earth is a ball, and now that it's down to you and your creator and what relationship you have and whatever you believe about the afterlife, what choice do you make?
Well, I don't know. I think I understand exactly the kind of question you asked me. But the question is, if I don't take the suitcase with the money, they kill me. Or I can say no,
that they would.
For me, the world is
that would
flat.
be a certainty. Yes, that would be a certainty, Hero. They would pull the trigger
It's my
right
life.
there.
It's my life on the on the bed, right? Yep. I mean, I can say the earth is flat. I don't want your $5 million, but he's going to kill me.
Yeah, maybe, yeah.
But if my life is not involved, right away I'm gonna say, look, man, I don't need $5 million to be happy with my life. I'm really good as I am.
Oh, you're a legend, bro. You're a legend, Iru. Did you hear the song? That's why I shouted you out, bro. Iru slaying Jesuits.
No, because maybe I understand a little, messy the type of question you are making. But if I cannot, if I can say, man, for me the earth is flat and I don't need your money, so I'm going to continue my life. I say that. If my life is on risk, and if I don't say that, or maybe better said, if I say the earth is flat, they're gonna kill me. If I don't say the earth is flat, they don't kill me, but give me $5 million. I don't know if I understand quite good the question.
Yeah, that's the question. Yes,
that's the question.
Okay, that's the question. Okay. Well, maybe it's difficult because it's very hard to take it as something real, because I don't know how many of you have the experience to have a gun in your head, and with the certainly 100% certainly that the guy is going to shoot you, not because you said the earth is flat or no, but instead because maybe in the party get crazy and take out the gun and put it in your head. So it's very difficult for real saying, of course, my brain right now, my heart is going to say, I keep the flat earth through and let me experience the after death. But in that particular moment, so many things play in your head, because if you have child, if you have family, I don't know what is gonna be my position at that particular moment with the rest of the world. So right away, I can tell you, I believe in after death. I have remembered that my journey on the not flat earth, but in this seeking of truth, became because I have my out of body experience, and not once but many times, and I'm start taking not that advantage, but I'm start going into that world and experience things that in my conscious life or wake up life I never gonna do it, because it's impossible. But I have my out of body experience that bring me a lot of knowledge and peace, and I am not going to say that I am not afraid of death, but because sometimes that thing confused with the process to being dead. Sometimes we are afraid to sickness or that kind of dying of cancer, whatever. But when you are in the death final moment, I don't think you're gonna have fear. That's for sure, because in my own experience, I experienced being in quote unquote spirit. So I know that, or at least no, I believe this is my belief, that we are eternal, and that also open a new door to be okay. If we are eternal, why we are keeping keep going, keep coming here to this reality, is because we choose it, is because we are part of mechanism that keep these crazy things running. Well, that is a very philosophical and deep type of question. But again, right away I can tell you that I cannot live with after all these years, after all this engagement with real human beings, and trying to keep this this reality, this belief, this type of thinking of the flat earth and all the things that involve around it. I cannot live with because I sometimes in the past I really think about it. Maybe I was wrong and the earth is a sphere at the beginning of this research, but right now I cannot walk on the street with people point me a finger saying, "Man, you are a liar. You keep lying us from the last 5 years, and now you are a bald earther." No, I cannot live with that. I don't know if you understand the final part what I say. If I was in Spanish, I can say much better. But the guilty on my shoulders to get back to something that I don't believe. It doesn't matter if it's $15 million or not. It's something that, remember, I not believe. I experienced the new shamanic medicine, and after 2 years to lying myself, I'm gonna die. So it doesn't matter if I die with a shotgun in my head or after 2 years with a cancer in my whatever organ, because I lie myself all the days when I wake up. So
very well said. Good answer. Good answer, bro. I like it.
All right. So, and obviously I have not answered it yet specifically, but I will after Jeran. But Jeran, it now comes to you, sir. You know the conditions of the question.
I do. It seems that they're all over the place now.
Well,
sort of. Yeah, sort of.
And this is a hard question, guys. So, don't judge anybody on what they answer, because you're probably going to be a little surprised at my answer. I'll bet you a lot of people don't guess my answer right. That's just my guess.
Yeah, to be fair, I normally present the question under the premise that the person with the gun knows the correct answer. Okay. But in this situation, I do still find it interesting. I love it. I love the thought experiment. So the government guy comes to you, he puts a gun to your head. He wants you to answer correctly because you are who you are. You say the earth's flat, etc. And they're like, all right, look, 10 mil, briefcase, say the earth's a globe, bro. You leave from here saying that, you get the money, or say it's flat right now. If I'm going to ask you the question, if you get the answer right, then you get the 10 mil. Is the earth flat or is it a sphere? You got 10 seconds.
Yeah, or even if you took more than 10 seconds. I mean, I think the most important part is the actual action. So
yeah, of course. The reason I always bring up 10 seconds is because, again, normally I say it where like the guy with the gun knows the right answer. And I make a point to people, like even new people to this conversation, where I'm like, under 5 seconds, I'm saying flat, because I know that is the right answer. But this
well,
one's
yeah,
this
the guy
is a
with
little
the gun
different.
probably knows that the earth is flat, but that's not the thing. I mean, it has been presented to you in such a way that you know damn full well that if you say it's flat, you're going to get the bullet to the head, and if you say it's a globe, then you're going to get the $5 million, and that is
Yeah.
that's
I think
the
that's a
condition.
very interesting thought experiment, Jeran. What's your answer?
Yeah, no, it's a good thought experiment, but I think that for me, there's no way I could ever say that the Earth's a globe. Period. I mean, it's just I couldn't do it. So it's that easy for me, because once you kind of have that, I don't know what you want to call it, born again moment, I just could never.
You're going to take the bullet?
Say again?
You're going to take the bullet?
Yeah, I think so.
All right.
It's just I couldn't live with myself. Just couldn't live with myself.
All right, and now it's my turn. First of all, what would you guys say my answer is going to be?
You're riding off on the sunset with your
money.
car.
We're going to take the money, and then we're going to Antarctica on our new $2 million yacht.
Yeah. Nope. That's not it. And honestly, I have a little bit of cheating on this because I've thought about this a lot. And, you know, this goes into really searching yourself, trying to understand the nature of life, the nature of your convictions and your beliefs. And, you know, whether or not you believe in a superior being, you know, in this particular case, I don't believe is a factor. Yes, that may be something that the creator may want you to do. But like I said, you know, I'm not entirely on board with that. What I am on board with is what I understand about my own feelings and convictions. And I believe that if I took the $5 million and said that the Earth was a globe, not only would I be betraying all of humanity, but I would betray my own convictions as well, and what I believe to be sacred. And therefore, as much as this is a really difficult thing to say, I would still say the Earth is flat.
So everybody's taking the bullet but me?
Apparently.
I mean, wait a minute. No. Okay. Now, do I have to be a cheerleader for the globe, or can I just be like, okay, give me my money and then I'm off, and nobody ever hears from me again?
No, it's just something to think about. That's all. Because, you know, we're entering a time in our history that, you know, we're going to have to think about making some hard calls. You know, I spoke several months ago, you know, as this whole thing was starting, about, you know, am I going to do something about it? Am I going to do what I can do to spread the message about this? Or am I going to wait until, you know, somebody comes to the door? And if they come to the door, what am I going to do at that point? And I think that if you really haven't truly thought that through, then you are doing yourself, your family, and everybody a disservice. Because I can tell you one thing about the elite: they're not fucking around. This is endgame for them, guys. And they're not going to just back down and say, we're kidding. You know, if they back off on, you know, one particular attack, they're going to come up with something new. I guarantee it. So it's just something that I think everybody really needs to be honest with themselves about and, you know, think it through. Because nobody likes contemplating, you know, the end of their life, especially when something could be so awesome as to, you know, you could make it so cool, at least for the last few years that you have left, you know? So.
And it's not just based on life or death. For example, right now, last Thursday, 26 Twitch channels, Spanish channels, was deleted from 1 second to the other. One of those channels was the radio channel that I participate every Thursday, and we reach in Twitch, we reach 100,000 views per radio show. If you count all together the 26 channels, we reach like 2 million views per month in Twitch, all talking about, you know, this agenda. The only channel that was talking about flat Earth, of course, was our section in that particular radio show. But for example, the 5 column channel, where even Greg Reese from InfoWars make an article or video presentation talking about their work, was deleted. And that was based on government decisions, not based on some strikes or some policy community guidelines of Twitch. So we reopened that, but for example, that was not a shotgun in your head, but a lot of those channels get their money to buy their food and feed their family based on the monetization of those channels. So right now they don't have nothing. They need to start over again. So, just in another fractal, that was like a shotgun in their head, because they knew that someday that is going to happen. And I think that about every day, because right now from the last 1 year, I live completely doing research and trying to, bring people together with this topic. And all my earns are based on what I did online. I don't work anymore in my old job. So that is also a fractal of being, keeping your beliefs or sell your soul to the system, start talking about other things or do all other stuff. And the last thing that I'm going to say is, for example, one of those guys of the Spanish community is a guy like us, 40 years old. He had a podcast and also channels, YouTube, Twitch, etc. It's called, like, it's very hard to say in English, but it's like a concerned technician. I know that maybe that sounds a little odd in English, but that is the name of the channel. The bottom line is that now the guy received justice CTA citation to present on court because they was accused of misinformation, fake news, blah, 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 and the court give 120 years of jail. And the guy is shit on the pants. And that take the place of case suit. I think that is the correct word in English. So right now we are trying to help that guy because he needs to present to the court and trying to defend their position, saying, well, that is not my information. I just take information from other media, from other articles and journalists, and I put together in my blog. But that I am not a professional of community, I am not a journalist, so I don't have a special thing that you have in those legal terms. So I just a blogger. But the real thing is that guy is going to confront judgment for 120 years of jail because he presents alternative information in his blog. And of course, that is making on purpose to give some example to the rest of us. So like you said, Bob, it's not just, the metaphor of being put with a gun in your head. That is very beautiful and Hollywood style. But in real life, this is the equivalent. And it's happening.
Exactly. Well, and that's exactly it, because even if you're where I am and you're not entirely sure that the creator is entirely benevolent, because, I've studied several other historical lines, studies at near-death experiences. And I tend to think things went a little bit different than the biblical narrative. And, it's no secret. I've talked about it candidly before. And I just think that, even if there is an all-loving, benevolent creator, which there may be, I don't know, but I still think that I've always been of the belief that the creator is an intrinsic part of us, and that we are about growing. We are about growing spiritually. We are about growing intellectually, and we are about growing in many different ways. And to simply turn around and abandon everything that we would try and progress through, after experiencing all of the bad things and good things that have happened to us in our life, is a betrayal to everything that we've worked to, bring to light. And, I honestly feel that way. And believe me, you have the angel and you have the little devil, right? And the little devil jumps on my shoulder and goes, "Oh, come on, who the hell's going to notice anyway? You could take the money and spill it, and who's going to know?" And so, well, I'm going to know. And, that's all I really have to say about that.
I don't think when that gun's out on the table, I think a lot of y'all, that pile of money's looking better and better. I'm just saying.
I know.
Man,
hey, John, I don't
on.
blame you. I don't blame you.
But Bob, look, they're beautiful, bro. And the way I look at, personally, how I look at it, it's like if you were a father and your son wanted to go ride a skateboard, and you know that he's going to have to work and learn. But when he rides a skateboard, he's going to be proud of himself and really enjoy riding the skateboard. So you allow it, and he comes back with a scraped knee. It's not your fault that he came back with a scraped knee. And does it mean that you don't love him since you let him go out and scrape his knee? Of course not. You let him do that because you love him.
That's right.
And so that's kind of how I look at it, like we're coming back with a bunch of scraped knees, bro.
Yeah, well, the earth is a dangerous place, right? It can be that way. It can kill you. And if it does, so be it. But, one thing I absolutely believe, that we are absolutely eternal beings. No matter what else, we are absolutely eternal beings. And if there's one thing that I would like to bring myself to, is the evolution, through this eternity, to being a good being, to be a loving being. And, even to understanding that a lot of bad things are necessary to happen in order for us to grow, right? And we've talked about that before. We had the infamous conversation about, well, if you could choose anything that you wanted to be in life, or incarnate into life, every one of us would be going, "Oh yeah, I want to be rich. I want to be gorgeous. I want to have all the women and stuff." And then I saw the girl with her parents on the boat in Hawaii, who was, was a paraplegic, and she couldn't do anything from herself, but her whole family was so supportive of her, and there was so much love there. I mean, dude, it broke me down. It did. It was beautiful. So,
it's a tough one to decide, because you just don't know. We're not in that realm. We're not outside of this. It's hard to judge from inside what the outside looks like, or what we're doing.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
Indeed. So, all right, guys. So let's finish watching the last part of this, and then we will move over to Rockfin and see what we have over there for us. So I'm just gonna do the last minute or so of this uninterrupted, or last 30 seconds, and here we go.
An important point, and as you say, it's completely consistent with what we've learned from talking to people who've left cults, from people who focus on this: the empathy, the understanding, the safe landing, the safe harbor, if you will. Kelly Weill, congrats on the book. It's great to see you. It's great to have you on Reality Check. Be well.
Thank you, John.
Thank you, John.
I'm going to say the same thing.
Thank you, John.
Thank you, John.
Thank you, John, you big loser.
It's just that their pompous attitude too, it just gets to me. It's just because, again, none of these guys discovered anything. None of them ever figured out a formula to get the sun distance. None of them figured out anything. They were just told that they live on a spinning ball, and that's smart, in a vacuum of space and flying around at 2.1 million miles per hour. That's all that they have. And they put that smug look on their face. And I just can't imagine being told information and feeling like, I'm so smart. I just could put this smug look on my face because I have this information that I didn't even do any of myself. It was just sat in a classroom and told. And then anybody coming along who says, oh, I disagree with that, And I'm just gonna laugh at you because it's so funny that you don't get to listen to people like I do. It's like it's just so ridiculous to me. Nothing.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, guys. So we are going to cut over to Rockfin because we have lots of things to discuss there. And so, if you can come over with us or sign up for Rockfin, we have plenty of really amazing stuff. I'll tell you what we're going to be covering on the Rockfin side, just so you can kind of, hang with it because it's some good stuff. Bart Sibrel actually just wrote a new book called The Moon Fraud, a deathbed confession. And this is, guys, a deathbed confession of a CIA agent that essentially detailed everything about the Apollo landings, where they were shot, how they were done, who was involved, the whole 9 yards. It's available on Amazon Kindle right now. I already bought it. This is it right here. It's called Moon Man. And, I'm going to be looking at it. I just found out about it today. So I'm going to be looking at it and reading it probably over the next couple of days. But boy, the stuff he was highlighting, what it talks about, it's going to be one hell of a read. So, $10. I'm not a big fan of Bart Sibrel, even though I did love Astronauts Gone Wild and A Funny Thing Happened on the Way to the Moon. I think those are two very damaging movies that came out about NASA. And he may not believe in flat Earth, but he certainly knows that we never went to the moon, and that's a commonality that we absolutely do have. So we'll be covering that, and then some other things about some other stuff that we can't talk about on YouTube. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and end the live streaming on YouTube. And like I said, guys, if you can join us on Rockfin, moderators, if you would spam the link to the Globebuster side there, go over there, sign up. If you sign up, it doesn't matter who you sign up to. If you sign up under Globebusters, you will get all of our premium content and all of the creators' premium content. You'll get Jeranisms, you'll get Austin's, you'll get Irus, and so many more. Owen Benjamin is on there. Just lots of people. Even Eric Dubé is on there, but whatever. So it's a really good deal, and it's where we can literally stream without having to worry about what we say and having to worry about our thoughts being struck down, as long as we're speaking from the heart. And I think that's absolutely what we're doing. So there you have it. So YouTube, thank you much. Thanks for joining us. We will see you next week. And until then, be good to each other. Don't lie to each other. Open your mind. There's truth inside. Peace out, everybody.
Peace.
YouTube sucks.
All